Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So, I just put out the Christmas special, and I am in between the first four classes and the second four classes of Cyberpunk Red. I figure now would be the perfect time to go over the Netrunner class. I'm going to fair warn you, you should probably grab some refreshments because this is a very, very, very in-depth class. So it's going to be a moderately lengthy video. If I were you, either don't expect to go anywhere for the next potentially 45 minutes or listen to this in the background as you're doing something. After this, I'm going to end up having the second four classes, and then I'm going to start a kind of how to play guide or a full blown introduction to Cyberpunk. So you can look forward to that as well. I probably should have started with the how to play guide or the introduction to Cyberpunk before doing the classes, but for everybody's first idea when it comes to getting into a new tabletop is 9 times out of 10, oh, what classes should I play? So I figured I'd cover the classes first. That being said, let's get started. So, what is a netrunner? A netrunner is your super high tech hacker. They're the ones that steal all the information for the group off of whatever computer they can get their hands on. They typically control, they control their tech with their mind. So they're the ones that you send in when you need specific files on people, specific files on places, business dealings, the like. This is one of the very few, if not the only class that needs prerequisite gear to be played. Others just need prerequisite skills to get started, like the solo needs, a couple of arm skills and so on and so forth. But anyway, this requires that you have a cyber deck, virtuality goggles, and Neuralink cyberware, as well as the interface plugs add on to be able to run this character. You can run it without this stuff, but you will have to at least pick it up in game. As I mentioned previous, the skill name is Interface. Interface allows you to connect your mind to your cyber deck, and the virtuality goggles display the internet over top of your current vision, allowing you to remain in the fight, but still hack like you're needed to do. As we get into Cyberpunk 2020, I'll probably be looking into some key differences between the classes in that edition and Cyberpunk Red, just for shiggles. Anyway, you have 9 different abilities to be used during a net run. You have Backdoor, which allows you to crack passwords and other obstructions. However, if you knew the password, you pass through no problem, no rules, no nothing, just you put in the password and go. Cloak, which allows you to hide all your actions taken in the architecture. If you don't cloak before jacking out, which will be explained later, another netrunner will automatically be able to see everything you've done in that architecture and trace it back to you, which will cause narrative problems in the future. Control. This allows you to control things that are connected to the net architecture, cameras, turrets, etc. This is done by using the skill on a control node. You can control these things anywhere in the architecture as long as you control that node. Taking control of a node and stealing control of a node / maintaining control of a node is on the same dice value. You'll also lose control of that node on jacking out. You have ID, EYE-DEE. I'm sure that I'm gonna put a chart up on here to, help explain, but anyway. ID identifies a piece of found data and what it's worth. Then you've got Pathfinder. It maps the net architecture floor by floor. The higher you roll, the further you can see at DM discretion. Then there's Scanner, which scans for locations of systems in the area, which is a meat space action. I'm assuming you're looking for access points and the like to actually jack into the net. Slide, which allows you to sneak past one black ice program. You can only attempt to slide once per turn. If it's successful, that black ice program will no longer follow you and return to its dormant state wherever you slid past it. Virus, which allows you to leave a custom virus at the very core of the net architecture. The stronger the virus, the higher the roll. So if you want to completely shut down that net architecture, expect a pretty high roll. Then there's Zap, which is a very basic netrunner attack that runs against programs and other netrunners. It can damage both. On a successful check, Zap deals 1d6 to the target. All of these abilities follow the same simple rolling structure. Roll a d10 and add your interface, rank, and match it to the opposing dice value. So let's say you rolled your d10 and you got a 7, and your interface rank is 4, that's an 11. Then you would match it up against your current the dice value for whatever one of the skills you're trying to check for. Now, those were just your abilities. We still need to look at what constitutes a net action. 1, you can jack in or out. To jack in, you need to be within 6 meters or yards of the access point. If you leave the architecture without jacking out, you'll be in a world of pain, and that's according to the book. Pretty sure that's up to DM how much pain and what actually happens to your head when you leave an architecture without jacking out. Sure, it hurts. Or it will hurt depending on the GM. You can use one of the above interface abilities that we just outlined. You can activate or deactivate a program. And finally, do any activities that don't fall into the above categories. Leaving viruses is a good example. Moving your character and saving a copy of a file doesn't count as a net action either. You can do those for free. And you can move your character through the net all the way up until you meet an abstraction like a password or a control node, or black ice programs as well, or other net runners. So I just offloaded a whole bunch of information on you. If you want to take a pause and take a quick break, maybe grab some more drinks, now would be a very good time. Then again, we're only like 10 minutes into the video. You're back? Good, good. We're going to move into another large chunk of information, taking the form of black ice and programs. And we're going to go ahead and start with some terminology. It'll make life a whole lot easier as we progress. And actually, I think this is probably the biggest chunk of information in the whole video, is this second half of everything. Actually, it is. My God. Okay. So, let's get started. There's class, attack, defense, which are not what you're thinking, res, effect, icon, cost, and terms like resed and deresed. So we'll start with resed and deresed. Resed is a program that is currently active or sitting in its active state. Used in a sentence, he felt a bit more confident with his sword program resed. You can only activate a program once per meat space round, and we'll get into meat space and net rounds later. Deresed, that is a currently inactive program. Deresing a program doesn't remove it from your cyber deck. You just have to take a turn to deactivate and reactivate the program. So that would be 2 total actions, 2 total meat space actions to be specific. So 2 turns. And then you've got class, that is the type of program. There are 3. Booster programs, which boost your interface abilities while the program remains resed, i.e. active. Attacker programs, like Sword, which seek to damage black ice programs or other netrunners. These act like single-use items and de-res after 1 usage, which means you have to take time to activate and reactivate them. And defender programs, which stop or otherwise reduce the damage from black ice or other netrunners. Those in particular, they remain active. You don't have to derez and re-res them. You don't have to activate and reactivate them after, a single use. They stay until their well, we'll get to that in a minute. Their HP depletes. So on page 203, there is a chart that you can also take a look at. I'll probably have it blown up on screen as well. And it will show you exactly what I'm about to tell you. So the next set of terminology, you've got ATK, attack, and that is the number you add to attack checks made against a black ice. On the chart with some of the programs, you'll see it at the very top. DEF or defense, the number you add to defense checks made against a black ice's attack, and we'll get into that in a minute. Res, which is REZ, which is a program's HP. Attacker programs technically have 0 res because they de-res after single use. Effect, which is what the program does. For attacker programs, you'll have to succeed the attack check before any sort of effect is applied. So let's say you're using sword and you roll an attack. I think its attack is 1. And all of this will probably be explained later on down the line, but either way, I want to help you out now. Let's say you roll your attack, which is 1d10 plus active program, which sword is 1, and you get an 11, and the black ice's defense is only a 10. You win the check, which means you deal 3d6 against the black ice program. Sword deals 3d6 against black ice programs and 2d6 against non-black ice programs. And that's just an example of effect. Next is icon, and that is the customizable appearance of the program. Most come with a standard appearance, and you can read those on the chart. They're actually below all the numbers in the borders, or you can create your own. I kind of like the option of creating your own. And finally, the cost, which is the ascribed monetary value to each program. That'll be on the furthest right bar. My right, not yours. And of course, those range from like 50 to 100 to 1,000, depending on if you're buying just regular programs or black ice. When looking at black ice programs, the only term that is added is perception, because most black ice ends up being artificial intelligence. So, what is black ice, might you be asking? I just said it is artificial intelligence, yes, but let's go a little in depth. Black ice stands for Black Intrusion Countermeasure Electronics. Basically, black ice intercepts, defends, and eliminates threats determined by their programming. You can assign certain parameters to your black ice to determine what's a threat and what is not a threat. There are 3 types of black ice. Anti-personnel black ice, which targets netrunners. Anti-program black ice, which targets programs possessed by netrunners, including other black ice programs. If it is ascribed to your netrunner, anti-program black ice will get to it. And demons, which guard and operate control nodes to defend their net architecture. Demons can also make use of these control nodes to guard space in the real world, using long aforementioned automated turrets and cameras. You can't just have a bunch of black ice and programs installed. This is where your cyberdeck comes in to add limitations. Okay? An excellent quality cyberdeck has 9 program slots. A standard quality one has 7 program slots, and a poor quality one has 5 program slots. Program slots can also be used to add extra hardware as well. What kind of hardware? Well, that's a whole different chart for you to take a peek at. So, standard programs like sword, shield, armor, all of that, those cost 1 program slot. Most black ice costs 2 program slots, and sadly, I don't think you can actually get demon programs, so unfortunately, you might have to get that out of your head really quick. We've now done our second info dump, and that has taken us another 10 minutes. If you somehow finished your drink and snack in that time, I'd suggest getting another one, as we're almost done. So take you a stretch, relax, see what you gotta do. Welcome back. We have all that we have left is net combat, and that'll be the final chunk of this video. And oh my god, there's a lot to that. And also a little tidbit, because I couldn't really find another spot to put this in, but netrunners, when jacked into a net architecture, end up dividing their actions into meat space and net rounds. You only get one meat space round per turn to do things like shoot at people in the real world or move to your 6 meter or yard limit around the access point, or administer quick air hypos or such. You get however many net actions your rank determined from the earlier chart. I do believe I've posted that up above. Meaning for every one meat space round you have, you get 3 to 5 net rounds per rank. Combat in the net functions as such. You roll 1d10, add your interface rank, and add your program attack. Or you roll 1d10 and add your Black Ice's attack, depending on if you're using a program or using a Black Ice program. The final result of that roll is then matched against the target's d10, adding their interface rank and adding their program defense if you're fighting another netrunner, or 1d10 adding Black Ice defense if you're facing down a Black Ice program. If you win the roll off, the target feels the effects of the program that you have currently rezzed. Once again, a program is derezzed once it reaches 0. It's still considered a running program, like I said, so that means if your program's hit points reaches 0, you spend 2 actions, one to deactivate the program and one to reactivate the program. Those, I do believe, count as meat space actions. Unless the program was entirely destroyed, which is possible by way of certain program effects, like you'll see here in a couple of minutes. So let's look at an example of combat. You have a sword program activated. Sword's effect deals 3d6 res damage to a Black Ice program, or 2d6 to a non-Black Ice program. Its attack is 1. You roll a d10 and get a 7. Add 1, which is the sword's program attack, and add another 4. So right now you're looking at 7 plus 1 plus 4. That 4 is your interface rank, for a total of 12. The ASP Black Ice program rolls 1d10, getting an 8, and adds 2 for its defense, getting a total of 10. Your sword program deals 3d6 res damage to the ASP, which has a total of 15 res. Rolling the damage, you get 2 6s and a 4 for a total of 16 res, de-resing it. So, let's rewind. You got the rolling down, which I'm assuming 1d10 plus 1, which is your attack program. So it's 1d10 plus attack program plus interface rank. For the DM, you would roll 1d10 plus Black Ice defense, or 1d10 plus enemy netrunners interface plus program defense if there's one activated. Next, now on the reverse. Let's say the ASP beats you in a roll, meaning it got the 12 and you got the 10. It got the, yeah, it got the 12 and you got the 10, okay? It destroys one of your installed programs at random. In that instance, whatever is destroyed, not derezzed, cannot be retrieved, and you have to buy a new program. And there are all kinds of black ice effects that can, do some crazy stuff to your Netrunner. There are other things that we can look at, like there's an entire chapter on what demons can do in the real world and how many rounds that they've got, but I want to keep things moderately simple for a starting Netrunner class to kind of get the reins, because I'm also still learning this myself. I might put out a future video on this covering just what the demons can do, but it also depends entirely on you guys. So for now, I want to thank you all for watching. I tried to organize and explain this as best as I could, and to that end, I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoy this video and want to see more like it, I'd appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button down there and, leave me a like. Also, comment your feelings as on net running as a whole down below and maybe share this around to other people who might be having issues with netrunners and net running. For now, I'm going to go ahead and take off, Chooms. You have a good, well, I mean, right about now, it's right around Christmas. So you guys have a good Christmas, and you guys, and whatever other holiday it is that you guys celebrate. I'm taking off, James.